What's up, guys? Good morning, good afternoon. I don't know what it is wherever you are today. Today I want to talk about this topic, which is mixed race equals displaced. Yet another reason to come to the continent. Naturally, people, diasporans that come here to the continent, they will be asked, where are they from? Why are they here? And all of that. And I think the human consensus is when you think about mixed race, naturally you're thinking, okay, you're going to have access to both worlds, and it's kind of like the best of both worlds. You're half this, you're half that, or whatever. But in reality, that's not how it goes. In reality, people that are mixed race or mixed heritage or intercultural marriages, sometimes you know, you kind of get pressed to one side or the other because naturally you can't be two places at the same time. It's very difficult to blend both worlds. And what happens in our case, for blacks that are mixed or blacks that are, maybe your parents are like first generation migrants and then you are the child of that migrant growing up in a foreign land, it becomes extremely complex. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I have planted myself here on the continent is because if I have children one day, I don't want them to go through that. I want them to always be received and have a place that they belong to. Those of us that grow up in the West, those of us that grow up abroad, we are not seen as indigenous to those places. And that's something that our families don't really understand or acknowledge is that, hey, yeah, I might have been born in America, I might have been born in England, but to those also residing in the country, I'm still a foreigner, you know? And I think that's why it's really, really important to be in contact with your origin, be in contact with your roots. I was expressing to a friend of mine the other day, a dark skinned Ghanaian. I said, there's nobody who's ever going to tell you that you're not an African. There's nobody who's ever going to tell you that you're not a Ghanaian. But that's something that we have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? We might be like, yeah, my dad's this, my mom is this. I come from here and there. And then we have to go through, questions and investigations about who we are and where we're from. People coming from outside will be telling people here, yeah, my parents are also from here. I grew up here. I speak the language. And they're like, nah, you're not, you're American, you're British. So it's such a paradox. It's so confusing. It's yet another reason to return to the continent. I have found, especially here in Ghana, people ask me, why Ghana? I don't have familial ties to Ghana. Well, Ghana embraces me. You know, the Ghanaian people have always been accepting, always been embracing of me. I believe in going somewhere that you're loved and somewhere that you're received. All the friction that I encountered, like for instance in the West, I know it's not normal. I know it's not normal. When you are in your home, you belong. You're indigenous. You feel comfortable. The contention that we deal with in the West is another indicator that it's not our home because we shouldn't have to be under friction just to exist, just to be somewhere. I'm not interested, for instance, in mixed race future because I know that's complexity for the children and for the young people, and in some cases, adults. They really struggle with their identity. Being half this, half that. And I mean, in very few cases have I seen that both sides of the family embrace that child, the product of that relationship or whatever. Usually it'll be like, okay, I was closer to my mom's side, or I was closer to my dad's side, or I didn't have access to my dad's side. I don't know much about them. If it's someone who's like a foreigner, so say you're in England, because this is very popular in England, you have like a British person and maybe an African father or African mother, whatever. You have that British African connection. A lot of times the British, that child is being brought up there. They may have never even been to their other parents' homeland. I know someone, matter of fact, in England, there's a lot of these relationships are between African men, obviously, and white women. So there's a man who has a child for a Polish lady. And the child should be maybe about 8, 9 years old or something like that. And I was asking, him if the boy has ever been to Ghana, if the boy knows any tree, if the boy knows, and he says, no, the mother will not permit me to take the child to Ghana. And I'm like, what is that? Please make sure you guys get the likes up, please. I see several of you in here. Only Eternal Blossom is on code in the chat room. So come in, like the stream, leave me something in the chat room if you like the topic. Okay. So these are the kind of situations that you are dealing with, and it's so complex because you're living in an environment that doesn't recognize you as indigenous, even though you're born there. Okay, even though legally you have all your documents and whatever, and maybe even culturally you are, you're culturally connected to that place that you're growing up, but they just disregard all of that. If you're an African, you're an African forever in their eyes. Okay, so there are people that there are Jamaicans in England that have never been to Jamaica. They've been there 3 generations, 4 generations deep in England, totally disconnected from Jamaica, never been there, but also seen as Jamaican to the British world and society. Mixed race equals displaced. And this is also another reason that you guys should consciously have this in your mind when you're engaging in certain kind of relationships. People say you can't control who you love and all of that, but your partner should be strategic. Obviously our society and media tells us to just go with opposites attract and do this and do that. But in reality, it's not healthy. It's not good. It creates a lack of identity. It creates like a crisis in that person's life, because I know, for instance, it's very frustrating to me to have no place to belong per se. I'm grateful that I have access to the continent, and I'm grateful that those here in Ghana and across the continent have been so welcoming. But I'm also blatantly aware that, yeah, this is not my indigenous home. There's going to be things that I never am able to assimilate into, and that's frustrating for me, because for all intents and purposes, I should have been able to grow and matriculate in the place where I was born and raised, which is back in Ohio. But because of this dynamic, even when I lived in America, people used to ask me, where was I from? And I would be like, Columbus, Ohio. And they'll be like, wow, you just don't seem like a Columbus person. Where's your family from? You look different. Your perspective is different. Okay. Then I moved to the UK. And then they said, okay, are you Caribbean? That was what I started getting, associated with when I was there. And obviously, I'm not really heavy on the Caribbean culture, the dance hall music. I don't have the accent and, all of that. Obviously, my mom's from Bermuda, but I really didn't get socialized in the Caribbean culture as it is in the UK. They have a very robust presence there, I would say. Definitely they do carnivals, they have a lot of music and all this kind of stuff, and I'm not in that world. So then I come here to the continent and it's like I'm American again, and it's just insane, and I would encourage you not to inflict this on children. It's nice to live in a homogeneous place. It's nice to have camaraderie. It's nice to speak a language, and it's nice to be home. I'm pretty sure that Ghanaians in the diaspora love coming to Ghana, where they can find their local foods, where people are speaking their language, where their culture is understood, where they don't have to answer and they don't have to explain themselves. Because explaining yourself is ridiculous, and explaining yourself like your whole life is just crazy. And when you didn't have anything to do with it, you didn't have anything to do with the decisions that your parents made, or the partner that your parent made, or the fact to live in certain places, and you also have to be mindful that maybe the decision they made, it may have been affected by the dynamics that were happening at that time. At that time, probably when my, parents were, having their family and stuff, maybe it was a more prosperous place. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. To me, my whole life, America's been racist. It's been dangerous. It's been violent. I felt totally suppressed and hindered as a young Black person. I feel so disappointed. You know, my life's aspirations have been dashed by racism and, you know, the way my peers are socialized and just so many different things. And I mean, when I see kids here, like for instance, big shout outs to Afro Millennial Mama. She's a content creator here and she has repatriated from California to Senegal, and she's living there with her Senegalese husband and her daughter. Her daughter reminds me of how I was before these different elements begin to impact me as a person. Her daughter is so happy. She's so carefree. She's just so sweet. If you go to her channel, you can see her. She's just like my chocolate drop. I just love her. I just adore Afro Millennial Mama's daughter. And I think about how children grow up here on the continent, you know, with the whole world ahead of them. You know, because it's kind of like inertia. Okay, you can dream and you can strive in your life until something stops that. For many of us, you know, those of us in the West, you know, we begin to have encounters very young. You know, if you can remember your first racial encounter, go ahead and put it in the chat room. Big shout outs to the family. I see there's only a few. Some of y'all, I know it's early in the US, so maybe y'all just want to listen to me today. What's up, TT? Good morning. Big shout outs to the African Superstar family. What's up, Blockavelli? I see you there. We have several of you here, guys. Come on, just be on code. Just say hello so I can greet you. But if you remember your first racial encounter, go ahead and you can type it into the chat or you can say yes. The thing is that we live a life of disappointment in the West. We live a life of unachieved dreams. You know, we live a life of fear. We live a life of rejection. And we begin to accept this as the norm, and it's not healthy. You know, and I know I have issues with that. I very much resent the US for doing that to me. You know, I very much resent them hindering my upward mobility, because when I'm here on the continent and I see, for instance, what I've been able to do just in a couple years of being here, because I don't have to deal with the same hindrances, I think about how much time was squandered in the West, you know, and it makes me angry. It makes me angry. You know, but these are the things that go along with us not being in our homeland and us trying to force our presence in these other lands where they keep on letting us know, you know, that we are not going to reach certain echelons. When you're a child, you're so bright-eyed usually. You know, your imagination is unhindered. You think and you're also told that you can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be. And a lot of times when you start trying to ascertain those very grandiose dreams, that's when you start getting brought back to reality. You know, the first time you go for the promotion and they pass you up, and then you see some unqualified non-Black person taking your position, or the position remaining open. Okay, the first time you get profiled by a police officer, you know, or the first time that someone, you know, for me, going to a predominantly white school growing up, they always minimalized me. You know, the African superstar you see today, a lot of these traits are just very innate. You know, I'm a great communicator. I'm very magnetic. I have a enjoyable personality. I'm attractive. I'm smart. I'm articulate. All these things are things that began to manifest themselves in my childhood. And when I was going to school, they were always trying to minimalize me. You know, whenever I would do a project or whenever I would express my mind, they would always just, be passive. Oh, Gina, you're so funny. Gina, you're so cute. Oh, wow, Gina, you're just a hilarious, you know. And it used to infuriate me because I'm like, no, I'm being very serious here. You know, there's nothing funny about what I'm saying. But that's just how they gloss you over. You know, oh, Gina, you're so crazy when you're speaking, irrefutable truths. they just pass you over like you're being a jokester or something. And that because to me that's disrespectful, and disrespect has always been one of my triggers that I hate. You know what I mean? It's like, look, I'm being serious. Don't treat me like that. Plus, I always saw the double standards. You know, if the black students did this or that, we would be reprimanded, we would get detention, whatever. If the white students did it, they just blew it off. They didn't even notice. We had uniforms. Our skirts were supposed to go down to our knees. The white girls used to be rolling their skirts up really short. They never got dress code violations. You know what I mean? Just things like this. And I couldn't really negotiate why they got away with it and I didn't get away with it. You know, in my case, I was living in the suburbs, the same communities they were living in. I was going to the same schools. You know, I had 2 parents in my household. I had all the things that they had too, but I was going through this. And so I make this, you know, this was my thought this morning, because actually I saw Afro Millennial Mama's post on Facebook. She was expressing how, you know, she's really able to celebrate Juneteenth because she's migrated to the continent. And she's realized that she's given her child real emancipation. There's a difference between celebrating a holiday and experiencing real emancipation, you know. And in the US, we keep on trying to compartmentalize our resistance for some reason, you know. And I'm not like a lot of y'all, because I feel like I deserve it. You know, I deserve a good life. There's no reason that I should be living less than them. There's no reason at all. I cannot negotiate it. And that is what has always been at the root of me coming to the continent. It's like, I'm not going to apologize for my blackness. You know what I mean? My blackness is something, it's a part of me that makes me so dynamic anyway. You know, it's a part of what society envies and tries to emulate. So you mean that the actual original gets ostracized and rejected, and all the imitations get you know, elevated? It's crazy. And you guys wonder why so many of our people are dealing with psychological issues. It's because it doesn't make any sense. Okay? The original is what should be hailed, what should be celebrated, not the imitation. And that's why you see, in those worlds, in those societies, guys, they have to elevate their own people, because we are so dynamic in our natural state. Even without competing, we're so dynamic that the inferior people need advantages to even be relevant. And that's also why they are so fierce about maintaining control and suppressing us and rejecting us from certain echelons, because they know that if it's an equal playing field, you know, that we will dominate over them, period. And the only thing, you know, one of the drawbacks is our people is not thinking like this. You know, our people are not thinking like, yeah, we need to take over. We need to be about self-preservation. We're not thinking like that. And that's one of our downfalls, because they're inferior and they're thinking about that. Okay. We're superior and we're not even thinking about it. We're not even positioning ourselves. You know, the answer to all this rejection that we face and violence and all these things, the natural answer is, okay, let's go home and make our own utopia. It's not compulsory for us to be here. The same way that I decided that racism was not compulsory and I'm not about to put up with it my entire life, and I'll be damned if I bring kids into that same situation. I don't want to see the look on my face when my child, you know, maybe the very copy of me, maybe I have a little girl. Obviously, you pick up so many things from your parents. So my little bright-eyed, you know, baby girl comes home and someone has called her the N-word. Huh? You know, or, you know, my little girl, she's a teenager now, and she saw the police rough up some of her friends when they were all hanging out at the park. You know, or my young adult daughter has just begun her corporate career and she gets passed up for a big promotion that she's been preparing for and all this stuff. You see, these are the things that we experience that we don't have to. Huh? These are the things that we put our kids through that don't need to occur. like I said, when I look at Afro Millennial Mama's daughter, and I see her as a bouncing, vibrant, young Black child, beautiful, chocolate skin. She's amazing. I see myself. And I'm so grateful, to those of you that are removing your children from those crazy, crazy environments. I know that transitioning here is difficult. I know that. But you have no idea the profound effect that you're having on their life. Because for them growing up here in Africa, they're never going to have to apologize for being Black. They're never going to have to apologize for being African. They're not even going to know anything about being a minority or anything like that. And that gives them the ability to dream freely. Those of us in the West, we've seen foreigners come to America and they're so ambitious, because their dreams have not been blocked. Their dreams have not been blocked. They're adults and they've had the ability to live free their entire childhood. Things that are adult issues that we have been confronted with in the West growing up. Things that a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old should never have to deal with. A teenager never have to deal with. We're faced with that. That's the norm in the West. They just had a school shooting. What was that last month? You got kids on the news that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 talking about they're scared to go to school because they don't know if there's going to be another school shooting. Let me tell you, that's something that's purely American. Okay, 10-year-olds in England ain't worried about that. 10-year-olds even probably in Russia ain't worried about that. 10-year-olds in China and 10-year-olds here on the continent are not worried about gun shoots up in their classrooms. These are the kind of things that we're subjecting our kids to. Trayvon was just a teenager when he was gunned down. Okay, but somehow he was seen to be a very dangerous Black man by that white man, okay, with his Skittles and his hoodie, minding his own business. Okay, that could be any of our nephews, sons, whatever. We are putting our kids in very dangerous environments by choosing to remain where we are not wanted, not protected, and not, respected at all. This is another reason Continentals don't understand me sometimes. They don't understand where my mind is. They don't know why. This is why I cannot apologize for being, I will not apologize for being Black. I will not ask another man for the right to live. I will not do that. If the environment is hostile, I will get the message and I will remove myself from that environment. It only makes sense. How many more of our people do they need to senselessly kill? How many more children need to be involved in this nonsense? How many dreams need to be dashed? Do you guys realize that right now, we live a life of disappointment? How many of you guys, first trivia question, okay, how many of you guys, when you have something good happen in the West, you start instantly thinking about, okay, what's about to follow this? Let me see a number one. So you're having your on top of the world, stuff's going in your favor, stuff is working out, but you're like, I don't know. You can't even really enjoy yourself because you're like, what's about to happen? Let me see a number one. Guys, we're living a life of disappointment. We're living a life of disappointment. You guys are good people, You want the best for your families. You want the best for yourself. You've gone to school. You try to be responsible. You stay off the streets. Is that what you deserve? Is that how you deserve to live? That you can't even have a moment of happiness before it comes crashing in? But that's what we have systematically learned. We're used to that now. We're used to it. When we go out for something, so you go out for the promotion, you go out for the team, you go out for the grant, or you go out for the scholarship. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, damn, I'm never going to get this. You're thinking systematic racism. You're thinking about the disparity. You're thinking about all the rejection that you face all the time. Is that normal? I want y'all to know, because I see it here on the continent. I see young people. I even see adults that their perspective is so bright in the world because they have not, their dreams have not been blocked. Mixed race equals displaced. Huh? Don't do it to your kids. Don't do it to yourself. There's something powerful about living a place where it's okay to live, where people see you as the norm. People see you as, an element in the environment. The journey is full of cultural differences for us, but you see, what you got to realize, if we do this thing well, shout outs to my young people, my 20-somethings, unmarried people, single and searching. If we do this transition well, our children will never know the things that I'm talking about today. Our children will never experience that. Big shout outs to the late Amin Ra, my friend out in Kenya. Big shout outs to him. I recently spoke to his wife and checked up on the family. And Amin Ra, I'll never forget it. He was talking about his move to Kenya. And he was talking about how he never has to explain police brutality to his kids. It's not something that they deal with in Kenya. They are Africans. They are Kenyans. They don't even know the psychological traumas that we're dealing with, that we talk a lot about, that we don't do anything about. It can be eliminated by simply taking our children and putting them in a different environment or raising our family elsewhere. A lot of us, me and you, we wouldn't even be having these emotions if our parents would have made that decision. Think about it. The same way that we're Americans and we're British and Germans, if our parents said, "Hey, we're going to raise our family back home," or whatever, we wouldn't even be knowing those things. Obviously, many Black Americans, Black British, we've met Africans, and it's like they're completely aloof about what's happening. They can even be insulted to their face and they wouldn't even know it. It's like they don't register. I remember one of my friends from Cameroon, when she was really new in Ohio. Someone insulted or said something that was a little derogatory. It went over her head. She didn't even understand it. Because to them, it's not a part of their world. And that's why sometimes they look at us and they're like, man, why aren't these Black Americans accomplishing anything? They're in the U.S. They just need to go to school and they don't even think about systematic. They don't even know what it's like. Wouldn't it be nice to not know what it's like? That's what this is about. So I guess this can kind of be my Juneteenth message, to you guys, which is there's a difference between celebrating a holiday and there's, experiencing real freedom. Emancipate yourself. Stop explaining your Blackness. Stop trying to justify your Blackness. Stop it. It's not necessary. And for those of us diasporans that's making this transition, be strong and of good courage. Run the race. You can be the critical piece between someone going through what we've been through and them living like Afro-millennial mama's daughter. I encourage you guys to go over her platform. If you see her, she's something. She's just something. I mean, the way that she's just a child and she just is so happy. She's not worried about school shootings. She's not worried about the teachers molesting her. She's not worried about civil unrest in her city or the next Black man, her father being killed. She's not worried about none of that stuff. Okay. She's worried about going to school, going to the parties. Her parents got a mansion in Senegal with a pool. You know what I'm saying? She's rich. She's living the life. Is that a contrast between how you and me grew up? Wouldn't you love to grow up with rich parents in Africa? You wear beautiful traditional clothes. Your parents, people respect you and everything because your parents have a good name. Hello. But yet we're choosing to be ducking and dodging bullets, send our kids to school where they may not come back tomorrow. The answer is clear, guys. We've gave it a good go. We've gave it a good run. We've given it a good run. It's not working. How much longer are we going to invest? How many times are we going to try? How many times do you need to be rejected to get the picture? And every time you keep going through that, guys, it starts affecting your mental well-being. You start asking yourself, am I good? Am I capable? Am I smart? Am I attractive? Am I well educated? It makes you second guess yourself. In other words, undermining your confidence. Why do you guys think that low self-esteem is such an issue in the West? People have lost their confidence in themselves, okay? The confidence in their ability to negotiate life. And when we have to deal with this racial issue, okay, the racial issue weighs in, okay, because they don't want us to excel, so they're going to make a concerted effort. You know, that's why when you're the best employee, you don't get the raise, you don't get the promotion. That's why when you're the best student, you know, that's when you win certain accolades. I remember, I think it was D that was on the channel. I remember somebody telling me about how they won the Woman of the Year in their office, or they got some award, I believe. And she was saying how she wasn't even notified that she had been selected for this award. Okay. But the previous year, when it was a white woman, it was all over the office that she was the Woman of the Year. She won the award. These kind of things chip away at your psychological. I can't hold anybody who doesn't know accountable. But I would say if you're watching me on the channel, you are accountable. Stop forcing yourself to go through this. Stop forcing yourself, and do not allow your children. Do not. You don't want to see the pain in their eyes when they come home and start telling you about this different stuff. And you realize that you could have changed the dynamics for them. You're letting these people miseducate your kids. What do you think is the sum of that? What do you think comes from that? The same way they didn't empower you, they're not going to be empowering your kids. The same way they mistreated you, they're going to be mistreating your kids. Or maybe even worse. Mixed race equals displaced. Another reason to come home. Another reason. There are a million reasons. Mixed race equals displaced. Bringing your kids up in that environment. Knowing. And you know, there are some of us who are relentless when it comes to our life and the quality of our life. I'm someone like that. Other people can't handle the pressure. You know, there are some young people that are committing suicide because of various reasons. You know, they're going to all white schools. They feel bullied. They feel ostracized. They can't take the pressure that some of us have managed to get through. You know, you got to consider that. Big shout out to the African superstar family. Did I talk to y'all today? Huh? If I talk to you today, show some love on the chat. Make sure you like the stream. All right, let me go through here and see what's up. Who's with me? I'm different. Good morning, sweetie. Big shout outs. What's up? Eternal Blossom. She remembers when she was young. Look at this. My kindergarten teacher. Okay. So for those of you guys in the international community, kindergarten is the very first grade of school in the U.S. So from that time, you know, Eternal Blossom was getting insulted by her teachers. My kindergarten teacher in the U.S. used to call us dingbats. You see what I'm saying? So Afro Millennial Mama's daughter is living the rich, posh African life right now in Senegal. Okay. But in the U.S., some of your children are being assaulted in their very first year of school. How do you think that's going to affect them? Is this going to make, you know, her be empowered? Is this going to make her think, wow, I'm incredible? No. The way to encourage children is to do that. Wow. And that's part of the reason my confidence is so intact, because my mom doted on me since forever. You know, Gina, you're so smart. Wow, you're so brilliant. Oh, you're so creative. You're so beautiful. I love your skin color. My mom, I mean, #1 cheerleader out the gate, to the point she had me on swole. If somebody were to come to me and say, Gina, you're this and that, I'd be like, man, you lying. I would just reject it. Because all I knew was otherwise. Like, my mom tells me this all the time, so I don't know what y'all talking about. But you know, that confidence, you know, all of that love, all of that, you know, positive reinforcement. We want to be hard on our kids and neglect our kids and wonder why, as adults, they have all these issues. You know, some of it is external, some of it is internal. Everything starts in the home. You know, are you loving on your kids? Do you hug them? Do you kiss them? Do you express that you love them? Do you inquire about their life? You know, these things are very important. I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying, if Eternal Blossom had the rationale to go home and tell her mom, you know, this teacher keeps calling us dingbats and I don't understand. Her mom would have rolled up in that school, hello, and set the record straight. Big shout outs. I had to move on. Make sure you hit the like buttons, please. Big shout outs to the family. What's up, Reggie? Big shout outs to my hometown viewer back there in Columbus, Ohio. Much love to you. Blockavelli says, I got accused of cheating on a test in the 1st grade. Probably because they didn't expect your grades to be good. You know, that's happened to me as well. I remember I wrote a paper in university, and they asked me if I plagiarized. All that means is they didn't expect such a good paper project from me. So that makes you think, well, why are they accusing me of that? Why are they thinking that I've done some wrong? You know, I instead of them saying, wow, this paper is amazing, you're articulate, wow, you know, someone might think that this was plagiarism. They just immediately get on the defense that you've done something wrong, that you're incapable of being intelligent or articulate. This is the mind games that they play, that you're sitting there thinking like, well, something wrong with me? Big shout outs to Blockavelli. What's up, TT? I see you there. Reggie says, it's very, very frustrating. You work hard, have the experience with the education, but always overlooked. After training the other person, he becomes your supervisor. This happened to me at several places. This happened to me at JP Morgan Chase, and this also happened to me at United Healthcare back in Columbus, Ohio. You know, and you're putting in the effort, because when you start these jobs, they tell you, hey, you know, this person started out in retail and now they're the VIP, and this person started out in our stores at the mall and now they're supervising this district. And you're thinking, okay, I can move up too with the right effort. Some of us wasted time going back to school. I thought, okay, if I get additional, you know, I get the certification, I get another degree, I can move up. No, this here skin, they got you blocked. Non-Black people, a fraction of you. Moving up the ladder, getting promotions. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. I'm different says, that's how I feel. Black Americans have tried to convince us it's normal to live with race. It's not. It's not normal. It's not normal to live in a hostile environment. Okay? It's not normal. Okay? It's not normal to be insulted and you can't have any recourse. It's not normal. You know? And our people are showing a lot of signs of dysfunction. And I believe that that's why it has so much. You know, it has impacted us so much. You know, there's so much animosity between each other. You look at the gender war between the black males and the black women. You know, that stuff's not happening here in Ghana. You know what I mean? That stuff's not happening in Senegal or Gambia. You know, black men and women are they're a team. But in the West, you have all this confusion in our communities. We can't even get together to do anything and accomplish anything. And I just believe that is all the fruit of being in that very toxic environment. We talk about that a lot here in 2022, toxic this and toxic that. Well, why don't we want to admit that our relationship in the West is toxic? Why don't we just want to call it what it is? Okay? They don't respect us. They hinder our upper mobility. They're killing us. You know, and yet we choose to stay and act like it's normal. Force our kids to go through it. I mean, if we're real, what kind of parenting is that? Huh? I gotta say it, guys. What kind of parenting is that? Do you realize that, for instance, back in the civil rights movement, okay, you had people that stood up for what? The betterment of the kids. Okay, they didn't want their kids, for instance, to go through what they had been through. So they thought, okay, we can achieve this by the laws and getting access to certain things and better education. Okay, they were willing, and many of them lost their lives. There's civil rights people that we know about, like the big famous ones, but there's a lot of them that we don't even know. Okay, that became victims of white supremacy and violence and everything. They knew what it meant to step out there and be vocal about their concerns, but they were willing to do it for the kids. Now, what are we doing in 2022 for our kids? You know what time it is in the West. You know what time it is. You got a young black male. What are you doing? Rolling the dice, hoping that he's not the next hashtag? I mean, how many school shootings does it take for you to be concerned about your child's well-being going to school? Huh? You know what you went through as a student. We got 2 people that I've seen so far in the chat talk about instances they had in their very first year of school. And yet, what kind of parenting is that? Is you as a parent, aren't you supposed to protect your kids? So you know what they're facing and you do nothing because you don't want to lose out on some comforts. You don't want to, challenge yourself. You know, it's too expensive. You can't figure it out. What kind of parenting is that? I mean, have we lost the regard for our kids that we don't think about putting them in safe environments? You got people in Ukraine right now, although the African students chose to, some of them chose to stay in Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are what? Fleeing the country. They're becoming what? Refugees. Why is that? Because they want to get out of harm's way. That's what a parent is thinking about. They will, in times, even think about their children before themselves. But what are we as Blacks in the West doing to position our children better? What are we doing? And if we're honest, we can say that we've seen how the migrants come, to the West and they live good lives. Why do you think that is? Because they were able to have a decent childhood where they didn't have all this stuff. I don't really see when it comes to, aside from those that are now being raised in the West, I don't see migrants coming talking about depression and, their psychological well-being. And, I don't see any Africans from Ghana shooting up, stores. And I don't know. Their psychological environment is a bit more intact than what we're dealing with in the West because they're not dealing with the same environmental factors. Being Black here in Ghana is not a crime. Now don't get it twisted. We have our own issues. We do have tribal things that go on here. We have religious clashes here and blah, blah, blah. Not heavily here in Ghana, but I'm just saying it's still, being oppressed in every form and fashion is not healthy. Okay. And the pressure that it's putting on our kids is showing. I even think this is why the homosexual agenda is just out of control in the West, because guess what? Black men, they don't even want to be Black men no more. They're like, you know what? I'll just be a girl. It's safer. It's less pressure to just be a girl. So I'll go ahead and just do this transfer into the lady. I think they just don't want it anymore because it's such a hostile environment. You know, versus here on the continent, black men are proud to be men. You know, they like being macho men. They like, you know, being the head of household, and, you know, they like all of that. But look at their counterparts in the West. They're like, hey, I want to put on this high heels and this lipstick. It's too much. You know, cause and effect, cause and effect. There's always a reason. There's always a root. Why are we not analyzing the root? You guys are smart. Am I the only one? I can't be. I can't be the only one that has been able to analyze where some of this behaviors and, you know, mentality is coming from. I'm different. You had me talking on that. Blockavelli agrees. It's not normal the life we live in the West. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. What's up, Ifo? I see you there. Talking about school shootings. That's an American thing. Huh? Y'all in America, you think, some of y'all think, you know, them ADOS people and them Israelites and them patriots, they think that they're in the best place to be. No. School shootings, that's uniquely American. Okay, 10-year-olds all around the world, they're not worried about school shootings when they're going there. Okay, they're worried about recess and lunchtime and playing with their friends. And hello, big shout outs. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm different answered me on my trivia question, which is, you know, when something good is happening for you, this is what's happening to us. We're so used to disappointment. Okay, when something good is happening, we're like, oh God, what's about to happen? Do you think your white counterpart in America feels like that? You know, they actually, life is so good for them that the first time they have a disappointment, they're ready to commit suicide. They've been enjoying life throughout. But when we have something good happen, we're worried about what's going to come next. What's about to follow this up? Reggie says, continental Africans can't understand because it's not in our framework. Exactly. You know, the things that we're encountering, guys, that I'm telling you is not normal. Our counterparts here on the continent, they don't understand it. They can't fathom it because they've never been through anything like that. You know, it's not uncommon when I run into people here. Like, for instance, one of my friends is a lifeguard. Okay. So one of my friends is a lifeguard here in Ghana and you know, desperately wants to travel to America. And he just thinks that all the opportunities are going to be open to him, right? So he's telling me how much these, you know, these Olympic trainers, you know, get paid. And he's showing me pictures of them. And he doesn't even correlate the fact that all these people are white. You know, he doesn't even factor in race. He just believes, okay, once I get there, because I'm good, you know, because I'm talented, these opportunities are going to be open to me. You know, and this is kind of synonymous with what Reggie is saying, that our people don't have those hindrances when they think about their future. You know, they don't have those barriers that we have experienced that we know are real. TT says we literally walk around every day with something that falls under the American Disability Act, severe anxiety. Big shout outs to your family. I agree. What's up? What's up, Alexis? Good morning, sweetheart. I see you. Eternal Blossom says we're still chasing the American dream under all this hostility. Reggie's talking about his own experience, that he didn't understand a lot of things until he went to America. This is why I always try to let you Black Americans know, because sometimes you'll be looking at the Africans and you'll be like, well, why? You know, they have white friends and they have interracial relationships and they don't have any position on Pan-Africanism and they're not, you know, this is why. So here from a continental African himself, he says, I had no idea until I got to Columbus, Ohio, and the reality hit me. I got to know I'm Black, fast and furious. Before, I thought I was just a human being back in Ghana. Now I'm trying to get out. Huh? So those of you in America, think about all the times you've been the only Black in the boardroom, the only Black person in the classroom, the only Black in the restaurant, The only black in community, the black in the airport, the black on the airport, the only time. Reggie was a full-grown man before he ever had the sensation that he's black. He just thought he was a man. Color was no context to him. And this is true. This is how our Continentals are living and believing. That's their perspective on the world because they're part of the majority. You know, just like white people don't see themselves as anything. You know, they're just the norm, and we're minorities. That's how they see it. We're in their space. Big shout outs to Reggie for sharing that. Efo says, I grew up on a resort called Maui Palms. What you're saying is why I was raised there. I don't know what school is with mental detections. You're right. Absolutely. Efo grew up rich. Privileged African. Family got big house, business, you know, young people here on the continent, their parents are stable, huh? Their parents got drivers. Their parents have house help. Okay. I even know one of my nephews here, he's got a driver that takes him to school and picks him up every day. Hello? Okay, that's how they grow up here. Cooks, gate man, huh? Okay, they live posh out here. It's like a stark reality from how we Big shout outs to Efo. Reggie says, my meteorology is living like a continental African in America, but building the American dream in Africa. And this is how it has to be. This is the best mentality. Okay. The problem is when you are living in the West and you think you want to integrate, you think you want to be with them and that they like you and that they care. No. Okay. If you're in the West, okay, the best thing that you can do, the best way that it can be beneficial for you is to use those resources back in your homeland. That's it. Don't get it twisted thinking that you're, an American now and you want to settle in. No, the land is hostile. Okay. Let's learn from our Chinese brothers and all them. Okay. They don't integrate at all. They be living there. Some of them don't even speak English. They be up in their own communities doing their own thing and sending money right back to their homeland, and they become rich in their homeland and then peace. But we got it twisted thinking, no. You got black people. No, me, I'm an American. I'm proud to be. You is not, listen. An apple seed will always be an apple seed. You can pick that apple up. Okay, I can take an apple from, Ghana and I can go take it to Brazil. It's still going to be an apple. Okay, the fact that I've changed locations doesn't mean anything. We have gotten it twisted psychologically that we're something else. There's a lot of black people that have these superiority complex. Well, I'm from England and I'm from Germany and I'm from the US. Fam, you're still an African. Okay, the seed, the origin is still the same. Everybody in the world knows all black people originate from the continent, and that's what it is. Okay? There's no place in the world with the population of black people like the continent. It is our origin, no matter how you feel. Okay? And just like in nature, we've been pollinated. Okay? So our seeds have been taken all over the world and dropped all over the world. The origin still remains the same, no matter what. And if you know that, it will be in your best interest. That's why for me, I'm an African that needs to be on the continent. I realize, hey, you know what? I've been out here in the West. I've gotten so estranged from my root, and I'm going through a lot of nonsense I shouldn't be going through. Okay, when I come to the continent, I get to digress from a lot of that stupidity. And that's because why? Because I'm in my homeland. Hello. I'm in my homeland. So there's things I'm not going to encounter here because I'm indigenous to this environment. Big shout outs to Reggie. Thank you guys so much for all of your contributions today. Big shout outs to Efo. What's up, Black Beauty? I see you there. She says, no upward mobility anymore at all. I'm different says, racial abuse is trauma. How long will we pass this down? Facts. And I'm all about solutions up here on this channel. Okay? There's no reason that we still talking about this crap for decades and decades. What's the move? That's what I'm getting ready to wrap up. What is the move? Don't tell me about problems. Don't tell me about it. Don't tell me about it. Don't even celebrate Juneteenth. Don't even celebrate it. Because in reality, y'all know in the West, we're not free. We're not even close to being free. We're not even close to being free. You're defrauding yourself. You want to go to the barbecue. You want to chill. You know, you're Greek. You want to stroll. Hey, let's be real. Why you want to celebrate a day of fake freedom when you can have real freedom and you know where it is? We are deliberately creating future generations of this nonsense when we have other alternatives. It's unacceptable. You know, that's why I get so angry about some of the things I've been through, because I didn't have to go through that. I didn't have to go through that. Big shout outs to the African Superstar family. What's up, Andrew? What's up, Mind, Body, and Soul TV? I see you there. What's up, Dr. Sherry Watch? Good to see you. What's up, family? Brown Coat Blue, I see you in the building. I know that's right. Reggie said it all. Reggie said it all. See, this was my problem, Reggie. I had a problem tapering down because I am the African superstar before I knew it. So imagine me letting these people just rain on me like, But Reggie says it's so hard to be docile when you are a full-blown alpha African man with African ideologies and African culture. He said that. I got to repeat it. He said it's so hard to be docile. Y'all are the super chat on that brother's note because he said that. I mean, I got the same spirit. I can't let these people be mistreating me. Who the hell do they think they are? I always had this mind. I've always had this mind. Like, and because of that, they really love reprimanding me because I won't bow down to them. But I just could not kiss the ass. I was just like, I can't. It's not in me. So Reggie's talking about his struggle because he knows that he's the man. And they be trying to talk to him crazy. They be trying to mishandle him. And he be thinking, because see, here in Africa, respect is big. Okay? The way people be disrespecting and acting crazy in the U.S. all the time, the culture is different here. So if somebody's blatantly rude to you, you will slap them. You know, if somebody's blatantly insulting you or something, you can slap them. And people will understand you. You know, when you express the situation, they will back you up and say, oh, yeah, they deserve to be slapped. Big shout out, Andrew. Thank you for that super chat, man. So I feel Reggie. Reggie is over there in the U.S. He's self-aware. He knows who he is, and they be mistreating him, and he has to just hold it in. Because obviously, if black men step out of line in the West, it can be deadly. You know, if black men decide they want to assert themselves in the West, it can be deadly for them. So Reggie just has to hold it in as hard as it is. He said it all on that note. My goodness. Big shout outs to Eternal Blossom. She says there's no American dream in Africa. The dream is rooted in white supremacy and enslavement. Big shout outs to you guys. What's up, Superstar Bella? Big shout outs to you guys. Mind, Body, and Soul TV. This is my perspective right here. She says we're Africans born in different locations. Europeans were smart to divide and conquer us. We have to get together. Term like fake Africans are on the issue. Big shout outs to African Superstar family. Well, you guys, I have gone on and on. And look, I done busted a sweat with this conversation today. Okay. Mixed race equals displaced. Know it for what it is. You might think that oh well, if I raise my kids in Europe, they'll be seen, they'll speak the native tongue and they'll have more advantages. False. False, false, false. Okay? The same way, even Black Americans that have been living in America for decades, don't even know anything about Africa, are still seen and identified as what? African Americans. Okay? They're still preferencing the origin. Okay? In the UK, they call them Black British. Huh? They want you to know, hey, there's a prefix. Okay? There's a prefix. Now, them whites that come from, France, and they go to England and everything like that, and their families, they still get to be British. Okay? They don't call them French British. I've never heard a thing. I've never heard German British. I've never heard, Polish British. So white gets to be British. Anything Black, anything Asian gets the prefix. They want y'all to know. So it's important that you know, because it's just the truth. Know your root. Don't feel no type of way about your root. Get to understand your root. Because mixed race equals displaced. If not, you're always going to be a rolling stone. Okay? Unless you create some kind of connection to your homeland, you're always going to be a rolling stone. You're always going to be a rolling stone, because where you are, you're not accepted, you're displaced, you're rejected, okay? And then the actual origin, you have no connection, so you're displaced. And that's how it's going to be. So I hope this message was meaningful for you guys. I just wanted to, express my personal thoughts on today. I was thinking about this. Like I said, it was all motivated by Afro Millennial Mama. So if she sees this playback, big shout outs to her and her beautiful daughter. Please go over and subscribe so you can see her daughter. I love seeing her. Sometimes I call in live and she's there and she'll greet me and she's just bubbly and happy. And I'm like, this is what we do it for. This is exactly what we do it for. This is exactly, let's pass on a different reality to our young people in the future generation than what we have known. Okay, if we sit back and we do nothing, we're complicit to the problem. That is what it is. That is what it is. Unless we take a different position. So big shout outs to you guys. Thanks again to Andrew. He's our only super chat donor. The rest of y'all just ride me for free. Just ride and ride and ride and ride it. Except for members only. And brown coat blue to customers at africansuperstar.com. Holla. Yes. So please do make sure you stop by to africansuperstar.com for your consultations. Make sure you send me an email and I will work on those for you. And also don't forget to support the stream and donations for our music project. So that's what it is, guys. Until we meet again, stay Black and true. If you ain't Black, just stay true.